Using American Law Reports. Say you have a specific legal issue, such as whether an employer is liable for personal injury arising from permitting employees to drink at a company holiday party. Say your company has offices in numerous states and traditionally all the locations have a holiday party. There is a secondary source called American Law Reports that can help. American Law Reports is called ALR for short. American Law Reports consist of articles called annotations on specific legal issues. The annotations cover that issue for many jurisdictions. ALR takes up many shelves in the library, so you can imagine that lots of legal issues are covered. American Law Reports annotations are often based upon cases that represent emerging unsettled or changing areas of the law or legal issues. You can also get ALR online via Lexis or Westlaw. The first series of ALR began publication in 1919. When the first series had too many volumes in it, a second series was added, then a third. These first three series cover both federal and state law issues. Then, beginning with ALR 4th, 5th, and 6th cover only state law issues. In 1969, a special series was created for federal issues. So you can find ALR annotations concerning federal issues in ALR Fed and ALR Fed Second. The newest addition to the ALR family is ALR International, which, as you can guess, covers international law issues. This is useful to know because when you go online, you may get results from both the older ALR, newer ALR series, and ALR Federal. So you can identify which ALR results would be helpful depending on whether you are looking for federal law, state law, or both. All of the ALR annotations are updated to include new cases and changes in the law. On Westlaw, new cases are added weekly. Updates are made to the print volume as well. So, how do I find an ALR annotation on point to my research issue? If you are working in print, start with the index volumes. For our research issue about the company party, you might start looking in the index under Dram Shop, AX, or intoxicating liquor. On Westlaw, you can also search or browse the ALR index. When you're on Lexis, Lexis does have ALR but does not have the ALR index. To get to the ALR index, I start typing ALR index in the big box at the top, and I see ALR index, and I could simply type my search into the box. And I could click on the topic intoxicating liquor, and I could read through and browse the results, or I could use my little search magnifying glass here, look for the word employer, and you see I found an ALR article that's on point concerning employers' liability for furnishing or permitting liquor on a social occasion. Alternatively, you could just search the ALR itself. Just start typing in ALR, and here it is, American Law Reports, and I could type my search terms into the box. And here we see our ALR annotation on point. So let's take a look at this ALR annotation and see what's in it. The first thing that you see is you get an article outline, which can help you direct you to the exact piece of the issue that you want. Usually this outline is broken into whether an employer is liable or not liable, so that can certainly help. Another useful thing is the index, which can break down your article in a different way, and here we see that there's parts of the article specifically discussing a Christmas party, so I could just hop to those relevant sections. And another thing they have is a table of cases, laws, and rules, which is organized by jurisdiction. So for our example, we're interested in cases for Ohio, Florida, and Nevada. So here I could find cases specific to those jurisdictions. And there's also research references, which will point to other secondary sources for further research, such as more ALR articles, encyclopedia articles, treatises, etc. Now, if we hop to a particular section to see what that looks like, we notice that each section of the article, it gives you some narrative text, as well as the various cases that discuss that point. So note when you run a big search of everything, such as I did here on Lexis. I searched for employer liability serving liquor, and I did not just restrict my search to ALR itself. I'm searching everything in Lexis. If you go to secondary materials, you will see results for ALR within those secondary materials. Another thing you could do is find an ALR article by citation. If you have a particular citation, just type it into the big box on Lexis and Westlaw. Recall that ALR annotations are updated to include recent cases and changes to the law. Sometimes an article needs to be completely rewritten. This is called superseding an article. If an article is superseded, it will so indicate on Lexis and Westlaw, as you see on the bottom of the Lexis screen here. In summary, ALR is a secondary source that summarizes the law and leads you to cases and statutes on point. Like most secondary sources, ALR is typically not cited in briefs or other filings submitted to the court. ALR articles cover a narrow legal issue and go into depth on that issue. They cover many jurisdictions and are handy for 50-state survey-type questions, where you must gather information on how each state addresses a legal issue. You can also use ALR to hone in on one jurisdiction using the jurisdictional table of cases at the beginning of the ALR annotation. If you have any questions about the material in this presentation, contact Research Services at the Cleveland Marshall College of Law Library.